You walk past a boulangerie and you think, ooh, might get myself a coffee and a little croissant. Order your favorite pain au chocolat, of course. You go to take that first bite, perfect, buttery pastry melting on your mouth. You think, I'm going to have a second bite. And then you think, do you know what? I'm actually not hungry. And there's no guilt, there's no shame, there's no, well, I've just eaten a bite of pain au chocolat, so I might as well eat everything today because it's going to be my last chance because I'm going to be so back on the diet tomorrow. And imagine what it must feel like to not think about food all day. Well, that's what we're going to learn how to do. I'm going on a journey to learn how to eat intuitively, to find freedom from food noise. What am I going to eat next? Ooh, I'm a bit hungry. Should I have a snack? Ooh, I shouldn't have eaten that. Well, I've eaten that, so I can't have that. We're going to talk about when food stopped being a fuel for me and why, and how extreme restriction in order to look good, ultimately that for me became binge eating disorder. How yo-yo dieting and keto have made me completely lose track of what my body is actually looking for. I don't want this to be about weight loss or a journey towards the perfect size. This is not a weight loss diary. This is not watch me shred 30 kilos before the summer bikini body. This is what I eat in a day, protein, macros, blah, blah, blah. This is not that. Although my weight is a constant concern of mine, I'm going to be honest. I'm not somebody who just eats what they want and looks perfect all the time. This channel is not about looking a certain way. It's about finding systems that bring us peace in our everyday. That's what we do here. This is my first ever YouTube series. And so the whole thesis of this series and what we're going to find out is, can you stop the food noise and learn how to eat intuitively? I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a nutritionist, and I'm not a therapist or a doctor. I'm just somebody who is sick of hearing food noise and sick of living and eating in such an unintuitive way. And because we're all about sharing systems on this channel, I hate calling it systems, so I kind of like calling it playbooks. Then playbook sounds a bit wanky and TikTok-y. Anyway, everything I learn, everything I go through, everything I find out, I'm going to turn it into downloadable PDFs, tests you can do at home. I'm doing the hard work so that you can also get the benefits. Because too many of us are living with this. Life is too short. Life is too short to keep worrying about that lasagna you ate yesterday. Life is too short not to just have the ham and cheese baguette. Is there a way to eat everything we want but still have a good relationship with our bodies and with food? I'm not going to try and do this on my own. I have done the research. I have read the books, girls. The books that I'm going to be talking about in this series, because they all talk about food noise and intuitive eating in a different way. Deepak Chopra's What Are You Hungry For? Food Freedom Forever by Melissa Hartwig Urban. She is the creator of the Whole30 diet. I'm sure you've heard of it. We've all tried it. We've all given up the lentils. The Intuitive Eating Workbook, which is one that I just found out about when I was researching this video series. And then a curveball in there, which is a book by a woman called Marielle Guillanou. French Women Don't Get Fat. It's a bit of a kind of naughties freak hit, and it's in there because I'm in Paris. I'm surrounded by French women, and I'm surrounded by a whole different attitude towards dieting, or at least that's what it looks like from the outside. Not a lot of French women are doing the Whole30, and a lot of women in my office are chomping into that baguette at lunchtime. And I can't say that was happening in my New York office. So throughout the course of this series, we're going to take apart each of those 4 books, find the things that work for me, the things that don't, how to quieten the food noise, and learn how to eat intuitively. So the 10 principles of intuitive eating by Elise Resch and Evelyn Tribole, who invented the whole term, who coined the whole term intuitive eating. Principle 1 is reject diet culture. Now that means everything you've heard, everything you've learned, carbs, keto, things are good, things are bad, has basically poisoned our brains into not being able to decide or understand what our bodies really want to eat. I'm a keto girl. I'm a paleo girl. I lived by Whole30. I've had 2 weddings. I've got to my dream weight, bounced back. I know how to make my body look the best. And for me, it's always been keto and paleo. So for me, it's impossible to imagine a freedom during the week where I can just eat what I want. Principle 2 is about honoring your hunger. Now we're going to go into more detail about that later. The concept is that we don't even know when we're hungry anymore. We don't know what hunger feels like. We confuse being thirsty for hungry. We confuse being stressed for hungry. Principle 3 is making peace with food. So that means telling yourself there's no such thing as good foods. There's no such thing as bad foods. There's foods that we should eat more of and foods that we should eat less of, but they're not good or bad. Principle 4, challenge the food police. Stop listening to what people are saying about food. Stop listening to other people's dieting advice, whether you need this many macros, what kind of workout you need to do, because Actually, the person who knows what your body needs is you. Principle 5, discover the satisfaction factor. So here's the other thing. We need to know when we're satiated. We eat things and we gobble them. I eat things, I gobble them. I don't put the fork down in between bites. And I get to the point where I've finished a whole plate and I don't even remember eating it. Sometimes I'm eating something and it's so delicious, but I'm doing something else at the same time. And before I know it, I've swallowed it. I can't even remember what it was. Principle 6, feel your fullness. So there is a whole argument that we don't even know what it feels like to be full and that we need to teach ourselves how to stop eating when we get to 80, 90% full, because that's actually how a full body should feel like. If you're used to eating more and more, pushing yourself and thinking, oh, well, this is the last chance I'll get to eat something like this today, and you push yourself and you have that uncomfortable feeling of having eaten too much, that means you've gone past feeling full. We're trained evolutionarily to know what to eat and when to stop. Otherwise, we wouldn't have made it this far. Our ancestors would have found that one pomegranate tree, eaten themselves into a stupor, been too fast asleep, and then got eaten by a woolly mammoth when it came around. Principle 7, cope with your feelings with kindness. Emotional eating. If you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling anxious, you eat too much, and then suddenly double the stress, the food is just now compounding. Principle 8, respect your body. Principle 9, movement, feel the difference. Principle 10, honor your health with gentle nutrition. Okay, look at you, you're getting a slightly different angle for the rest of this video. Life of a content creator, diary, oh, I didn't even have the mic. Yeah, had a few technical issues, the camera overheated. Anyway, we're back in business. Because the whole point in intuitive eating is that you can eat whatever you want. There's an argument, and I know what you're thinking. If I can eat whatever I want, I'm gonna have pizza for lunch, ramen for dinner, Chinese for a midnight snack. And that sounds as terrifying to you as it does to me. But I want to find out, if we're really going to give our bodies full permission to eat whatever we want, will we just end up binge eating? Or is there a world where at the end of the day, we could have the Chinese, but actually, are we even hungry enough? Should we just have a bowl of porridge and go to bed? Who wouldn't want that? Now, I just want to talk a little bit about my journey and why I'm interested in finding out more about intuitive eating and silencing the food noise. I started to restrict what I ate as a teenager in the 2000s, and I was kind of seeing all these images of People magazine, Lindsay Lohan, Nicole Richie, Paris Hilton, these skeletal bodies. That was what was hot. We all wore school uniforms, but our skirts came to like our knees, and like the tiny bit of knee that showed was just so crucial to how hot you were, how hot you felt. I guess I wasn't very in love with myself, or I didn't really love myself enough to not put value on the way I looked and not put value on how I felt when I went on those nights out. What started out is kind of, you restrict yourself a little bit, you have a salad for lunch, and it was the 2000s, so we didn't really have any good information about what kind of food to eat. As I went into my 20s, I just kept yo-yoing. I lived in Asia for a bit, and my weight just naturally dropped because I think like my body is Asian, so it was better with kind of rice and those kind of foods. Also, I guess I was just really happy outside a lot. I don't know, there was a lot at play. And then back in Europe in the winter, as a student, I was eating so much. And then there was a phase of my life I was living in New York. And I was a documentary producer for a while, and I was living in the US a lot on the road. And so you just end up with this horrible diet. Often you're not in control of what you're eating if you're traveling. I would gain so much weight, and then I would lose so much weight by being extremely restrictive after. I tried Atkins. I mean, what a absolute shit show of a diet. You can eat literally Philadelphia cheese wrapped in bacon, but you cannot eat a raspberry. I would take a raspberry out of my champagne glass because I was like, oh no, carbs. But the champagne was fine, sure. It definitely developed into, well, it's an eating disorder. It's called binge eating disorder. And how it plays out is that you have extreme restriction followed by extreme restriction followed by extreme binge. And I lived like that for a long time. And on the outside, I felt great. I thought I looked great, but obviously my brain was not feeling great. And so, I got a bit older and I learned about keto, and I actually read the extremely useful book called Women, Food and Hormones by Sarah Gottfried. She's a doctor, and she talks about how because we're women, we actually do very well on keto. And so, yeah, the keto works really well for me, and I actually like it because I can eat a lot and not restrict myself too much. But it's still not food freedom, I know, just before my wedding, I lost 5 kilos, and it was because I was being very strict and rigid. Obviously, the day of my wedding, everything went out the window. Came back from travels basically 5 kilos heavier. And so what I'm sick of is not my body. I'm happy with I have a great body. My body's great. This is not about a perfect body. It's about stopping the constant need to obsess and restrict and tell yourself, oh, if I ate that then the day is ruined, so I might as well eat all of this, waking up feeling guilt, waking up thinking about what you ate. I just don't think it has to be this way. And so I'm going to find out if that's true.